So we have already understood the structure of eye and learned the diagram of the structure of eye. There are few things that has to be still to be covered. The first thing in the diagram when we were doing, so you all go to page number 203. We have certain labeling which has to be understood. First labeling, important one, blind spot. Now what is this blind spot? Where is it located? If you just read it, blind spot is an area diagonally opposite to the lens. मतलब अगर आप इस डायग्राम में देखोगे, ये लेंस है, सो लेंस के ऑपोजिट जो रीजन है, इस रीजन को बोलेंगे ब्लाइंड स्पॉट. नाउ व्हाट एग्जैक्टली is this blind spot all about? So this area does not have any of the rod and cone. यहाँ पे जो स्ट्रक्चर थे, यहाँ देखा आपने रॉड भी है, कॉन भी है. तो रॉड और कॉन क्या थे? They were photoreceptor cells, right? That's what we learned. Photoreceptor cells, rod and cone, wherein we learned rod is responsible for night vision, जिसको हम बोलते हैं scotopic vision और dim light vision, whereas cone is responsible for daylight vision, जिसे हम बोलते हैं phototopic vision. तो ये दोनों सेल्स कंपल्सरी हैं अगर विजन अच्छा होना चाहिए. तो इनकी डेवलपमेंट के लिए हमें लॉट ऑफ विटामिन ए वी शुड बी हैविंग. Some people who are deficit of vitamin A, they have problem related with their eyes. Even color blindness is because of that. So when you're not able to differentiate, so that says that your photoreceptor cells are not working well. So जो हम शुरुआत हमने we started with blind spot, the word blind spot. तो वो area, blind spot are those area that has a particular characteristics. What are these particular characteristics? Read this part. There are no rod and cone cells in this region. In this matlab, we are talking about the blind spot. Blind spot. अगर question आया, how will you locate blind spot? It is diagonally opposite to the lens. Lens के just opposite side में है blind spot. अब एक बहुत इम्पॉर्टेंट है दूसरा वाला स्ट्रक्चर, दैट्स द डिप्रेशन. ओके, बिफोर डिप्रेशन यू हैव मैक्यूला ल्यूटिया, दैट ऑल्सो इज़ वेरी इम्पॉर्टेंट. मैक्यूला ल्यूटिया इज़ द स्ट्रक्चर जिस स्ट्रक्चर पे एक डिप्रेशन है. ओके, मतलब जो ब्लाइंड स्पॉट है उसके बगल में ही है ये मैक्यूला ल्यूटिया. तो उस मैक्यूलर ल्यूटिया के सेंटर पे एक डिप्रेशन है जिसको हम बोलते हैं, यहाँ पे टेक्स्ट बुक में आपका लिखा होगा लोविया, लेकिन एक्चुअल में इसका स्पेलिंग है FOVEA. we'll just see in this diagram also. See, you can identify fovea, right? So the depression, if you just highlight it more, this depression is located in मैक्यूला ल्यूटिया रीजन, जिसके अंदर जो डिप्रेशन है उस डिप्रेशन को हम बोलते हैं क्या है? फोविया सेंट्रालिस. यू जस्ट रिमेंबर फोविया. नाउ व्हाट इज़ द गुड क्वालिटी ऑफ दिस फोविया? इसके अंदर मैक्सिमम कॉन एंड रॉड सेल्स हैं. you have to just remember, this gives you the sharpest vision. So maximum density of the cone cells are present in this region. So rod and cone cell lie deep inside the retina. This it's very clear to you. अब 3 मेन और लेबलिंग आपकी क्लियर हो गई लाइन इन द डायग्राम ऑफ आई. ब्लाइंड स्पॉट, then the macular luteal region and the fovea, which is the area that has the sharpest vision. Agar question aaya, so you should be able to write that. as fovea. Okay, and the area with no vision, you call that as blind spot, because there is no, what is the reason? There's no rod and cone. Now we go to the next important topic, that's generation of image. अब इमेज कैसे बनता है? सबसे पहले we'll just highlight it. इमेज फॉर्मेशन में सबसे पहला स्टेप होगा, लाइट एंटर करता है, लाइट पासेस थ्रू द कंजंक्टिवा, कंजंक्टिवा से फिर कहाँ जाता है लाइट? कॉर्निया, फिर कहाँ जाएगा? प्यूपल, यू प्लीज़ अंडरलाइन इट, एंड फ्रॉम प्यूपल इट एंटर्स द लेंस, लेंस उसे फोकस करेगा कहाँ पे? ऑन द रेटिना, ताकि रेटिना में इमेज फॉर्मेशन के लिए हेल्प हो सके. इट हैज़ नर्व्स, ऑप्टिक नर्व्स. फ्रॉम रेटिना द नर्व्स कैरी द इंफॉर्मेशन टू द ब्रेन, ब्रेन एनालाइज करता है और image is formed. So we see here in this diagram what happens. सबसे ऊपर की लेयर जिसको हम बोलते हैं कंजंक्टिवा, राइट? तो लाइट यहाँ से एंटर करेगा, कंजंक्टिवा को पास करेगा, देन यू हैव दिस कॉर्निया रीजन, कॉर्निया को पास करेगा, then it enters into this small gap between the iris जिसको हम pupil बोलते हैं, pupil से enter करेगा and reaches the lens. Okay, lens अब इसे focus करेगा into any particular region. It can go here, it can go here, depending upon the light, किस direction से light आती है. You have learned in physics, no, the light, the characteristics of light, they travel straight. So जिस direction से भी light आता है, it is just focused on the retina region. And when it is focused on the retina region, the retina has got optic nerves, right? retina में क्या है? optic nerves हैं, और optic nerves message कहाँ लेके जाएंगे? to the brain, and brain forms the image. The next structure we have to learn, or the next receptor, is the human ear. When you talk about the human ear, it is statoacoustic organ. Statoacoustic का मतलब, stato is related with stability. When you are standing, you can stand straight, you're balanced, your body is balanced. ऐसा नहीं होता कि आप चलते चलते गिर जाते हो, या थोड़ा सा भी आपकी बाइट टेढ़ी होती है तो आप गिर जाते हो, राइट? बैलेंसिंग इज हैपनिंग. Who's doing the balancing? It's your ear. Okay, so stato is related with balancing, then acoustic, it's related with the sound. So your ear are managing two functions. Number one, hearing and body equilibrium. Just mark it like that, body equilibrium and hearing. Now your ear is divided into external, middle and inner ear. तो अगर हम diagram को देखेंगे, so in this you can see, जो हमें दिख रहा है, ये जो हिस्सा है हमें बाहर दिखता है, this is called as the ear pinna, PINNA. ये करता क्या है? Collects the sound waves and send it to the auditory. So this region is called auditory canal. What do you call it? Auditory canal. So auditory canal ने message को लिया, sound wave को लिया, and then passes to the eardrum. यहाँ पे green color का दिख रहा है, eardrum. It is also called as tympanic membrane. What do you call it? Tympanic membrane. So 3 part forms the external ear. What is the 3 parts? 1, 2, 3. First is called as ear pinna, 2 auditory canal, 3rd the tympanic membrane or the eardrum. So these are called as external ear. Then you have middle ear. The middle ear has जस्ट हाईलाइटिंग दिस पार्ट. अब ये है मिडल ईयर का हिस्सा जिसमें आई विल यूज़ 2 डिफरेंट कलर्स. दिस स्ट्रक्चर ओके इज़ कनेक्टेड टू द, ये ग्रीन कलर का जो है इस पे कनेक्ट हुआ है. कनेक्ट मीन्स इट इज़ टचिंग. सो टिम्फैनम जब वाइब्रेट होगा दैट्स अ टिम्फैनिक मेम्ब्रेन. सो दिस blue color structure, this is the first bone. You call this bone as malleus. Then the second bone connected to it, it is called as incus. Then the third bone here, third bone, it's called as stapes. Okay, so we have 3 bones in the middle ear. You call them as ear ossicle. So we go there. Okay, it's clear. 3 part of middle ear: malleus, incus and stapes. These are the 3 smallest, or we can say the smallest bone of our human body. And the last part is the inner ear. Inner ear is formed of the we call it as the vestibular region or labyrinth. जो cochlear region जहाँ पे आपको दिख रहा है, this region is the inner ear. Okay, so now we will just underline it. External ear formed of ear pinna, auditory canal and the eardrum. You call that as tympanic membrane. Okay, so you can read it. And middle ear is formed of malleus, incus and stapes. Internal ear labyrinth and vestibular. उसमें होता क्या है, कॉक्लिया जो राउंड स्ट्रक्चर दिखने में स्नेल जैसा है. Now how exactly the balancing happens? Okay, let's understand that. Let's understand how the sound travels into our ears and how we can hear first. Mechanism of hearing we'll understand.
It makes sound waves in the air. The outer ear catches the waves, which then travel through a narrow passageway called the ear canal. The sound waves reach the eardrum, which is a membrane roughly half the size of a dime. They make the eardrum vibrate, which in turn vibrates 3 tiny bones called the malleus, incus, and stapes. These bones amplify or increase the sound vibrations and send them to the cochlea. The cochlea is shaped like a snail and is the size of a garden pea. It is filled with fluid, and the sound vibrations make this fluid ripple, which creates waves. Hair-like structures called stereocilia sit on top of hair cells and are grouped together as hair cell bundles inside the cochlea. The hair cells inside the cochlea ride these waves.
Okay, so you should be remembering this word. These hair-like structure, what do you call them? Stereocilia. Okay, so ये ऊपर के एरिया जहाँ पे टच करेगा, that is the membrane responsible for maintaining the balance. Tectorial membrane you call it. But abhi filal you just understand what happens from the beginning. Sound waves traveled, I'm just repeating it. Right, sound wave traveled from the external place into the ears. पिना ने कलेक्ट किया, ऑडिटरी कैनाल में गया, ईयर ड्रम वाइब्रेट हुआ. ईयर ड्रम वाइब्रेट होते ही जो बोन्स 3 बोन अटैच थे, मैलिस, इनकस एंड स्टेपस, मिडल ईयर के पार्ट थे, वो वाइब्रेट होने लगे. एंड देन द मैसेज वाज गिवन टू द इंटरनल ईयर, द कॉक्लिया पार्ट. कॉक्लिया के अंदर लिक्विड होता है, लिक्विड मूव्स. हाउ डू दे मूव? दे शो रिपल मूवमेंट. रिपल मतलब पानी में जब हम पत्थर डालते हैं तो जो वेव्स बनते हैं, हल्के हल्के वेव्स बनते हैं, तो वो वेव्स ही hair cells को you call them as stereocilias. These are hair cells. They vibrate, and when they touch the tectoral membrane, they create sensation of sound, and they recognize different sound depending upon the place where the message has been absorbed. So let's watch it again.
Waves, which then travel through a narrow passageway called the ear canal. The sound waves reach the eardrum, which is a membrane roughly half the size of a dime. They make the eardrum vibrate, which in turn vibrates 3 tiny bones called the malleus, incus, and stapes. These bones amplify or increase the sound vibrations and send them to the cochlea. The cochlea is shaped like a snail and is the size of a garden pea. It is filled with fluid, and the sound vibrations make this fluid ripple, which creates waves. Hair-like structures called stereocilia sit on top of hair cells and are grouped together as hair cell bundles inside the cochlea. The hair cells inside the cochlea ride these waves, and the hair bundles are moved. The hair bundle on top of the hair cell turns these movements into electrical signals. As the hair bundles are moved, ions rush into the top of the hair cells, causing the release of chemicals at the bottom of the hair cells. The chemicals bind to the auditory nerve cells and create an electrical signal, which travels along the auditory nerve to the brain. Different hair cells respond to different frequencies of sound. The hair cells at the base of the cochlea detect higher-pitched sounds, such as a piccolo or flute. The hair cells toward the top of the spiral detect progressively lower-pitched sounds, such as a trumpet or trombone. At the very top or apex of the spiral, the hair cells detect the lowest-pitched sounds, such as a tuba. The auditory nerve carries the electrical signal to the brain, which interprets the messages as sounds that we recognize and understand.